galaxy.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
As much as I love the theme song, we won't listen to the whole thing. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, new members, and honored guests. Since its premiere in 1966, Star Trek has made an unprecedented impact on society, popular culture, and even real-life science. That simple introduction set the stage for an entertainment phenomenon that would change the world forever. Trekkies. The name probably conjures a certain image in your mind. Maybe you picture some little old married couple going to conventions in matching costumes, or maybe you picture some overweight, pimply-faced geek stereotype. But the truth is, Star Trek fans are about as diverse as they come. And that's because Star Trek really began this concept we have nowadays of franchise fandom. Everybody is a fan of something. It's Star Wars or Game of Thrones or all sorts of popular things these days. And Star Trek fans in particular just traverse every gap that there is. They traverse the income gap, the race gap, the generation gap. There is no boundary. There is no line. Trekkies are everywhere. I know there are several of them in this room. I caught a bit of attention from them when I came in. There are several more in our club that unfortunately are not here tonight, who are really missing out. A lot of traditions that we think of as commonplace today with fandom and things like that, conventions, a lot of that began with Star Trek. For example, dressing up as your favorite character. That became commonplace because of Star Trek. People would dress up as aliens or Mr. Spock or Lieutenant Uhura, whoever they were interested in. Another one is collecting memorabilia based on a series or a show that you like. That really picked up with Star Trek. That changed the whole entertainment industry. And then, of course, Star Wars really picked it up and changed it again from there. I'd like you to picture, for a moment, America in the 1960s. For most of you, that's a lot easier than it is for me. This was a country, I said most of you, that was in the midst of the civil rights movement, the space race, the Cold War. This was a world that for generations was still trying to rebuild after being torn apart by war and hatred. And then in September 1966, here comes Star Trek, a fictional world where there is no war and no hatred, where people of all different types have come together and overcome their differences and learned to work and live together in peace, working for the betterment of mankind. That inspired people to want to make that fiction a reality. Dr. Martin Luther King was a Star Trek fan. Stephen Hawking is a Star Trek fan. Colin Powell is a Star Trek fan. President Barack Obama is a Star Trek fan. Star Trek has inspired generations of people in the last 50 years to become astronauts, engineers, inventors, doctors, pilots, and it has inspired technology as well. Spock to Enterprise, come in Enterprise. The design of the early mobile phones, flip-open phones, was famously inspired by the communicators used by Kirk and Company on the original Starship Enterprise. The lovely item that I used to open my speech was directly copied from props used on Star Trek The Next Generation, the first Apple iPad. These are real-life changes, things that have redefined our world. Herman talked to us earlier about millennials, about technology, about how so many things have changed in my generation. How Sable and I are growing up in a completely different, technologically driven world than others before us. And that all came back to a TV show. That's amazing when you think about it. This impact that a simple form of entertainment can have on our world. Star Trek has meant a lot to me personally. It has inspired me to be a better person in my life. It inspired me to pursue my interest in science. It taught me valuable lessons about what it means to be a good person, about what it means to be compassionate and bring people together and want to build a better future for ourselves. And I'm not the only one. As I said before, this is a phenomenon that has kept growing for 50 years and brought so many people together and brought forth so many new ideas that it's hard to even imagine, and it's definitely hard to get down into a 5-minute speech. For 50 years, Star Trek has reshaped and influenced popular culture, society, even real-life science. And I would bet that in another 50 years, it will still be remembered for that. Or at the very least, it will be remembered for its most beloved episode. Fellow Toastmasters.